What's up guys, Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at PSG LGD picking carry Riki. Recently, my underrated heroes video, I said that I thought Riki was one of the better heroes in Dota right now, and apparently PSG just picked him as carry, which is hype because PSG LGD has come in second place in TI. They've done extremely well over the last basically year, and therefore I think it's a pretty good measure of, the hero having potential. And therefore, let's look at when they actually pick it first to understand when you should pick it in your pubs. Also, if you want to see more videos like this where I sort of just look at a pro replay or a pro game and just kind of dissect the game as I watch it, like the video. Obviously, it helps me to know if you want more of this in the future, and as I said, this is kind of going to be a little bit different because instead of me analyzing it beforehand and giving points, I'm just going to be watching it through and giving more of my analysis, so hopefully that will kind of keep it entertaining. And now let's get into it. Also, over on the main gameleap website, I plan to do some more content in terms of pro replays. Usually I focus more on doing the pro replays for YouTube, but I want to do a few for the main website as well. In addition, I'm doing Random at 6K. If you don't know what that is, Random at 6K is where I basically play pubs and I analyze my own games so you can get in the head of me, a pro player, because typically when I'm doing these pro replay analysis, I have to, and not completely guess, but somewhat guess on what they're thinking and what their opinions are. But when I'm doing my own replay analysis, I can give you exactly what I'm thinking and show you exactly how I win my games and how you can do it too. So just to kind of analyze the meta right now, a lot of the bans, still Treant, Doom, Drow, we have Puck, Tiny, Disruptor. Disruptor being one of the more popular 5s of the patch right now for anyone who hasn't been watching the meta. Bloodseeker, also another hero that's getting banned out here. I think the hero is very good as well. And then we see a Wyvern Slark opener. This is just a solid response to Shadow Demon Centaur because Shadow Demon and Centaur both do very little to Slark as a whole. Not nothing, obviously, but not too much. Then we see the Grimstroke come out, which is kind of a weird one because it has less synergy with Shadow Demon and Centaur in terms of single target. However, the initiation potential with Stampede and the Grimstroke ulti is kind of nice. All right, so the first thing I'm noticing about PSG LGD's lineup that would potentially enable a Riki carry is their pure amount of initiation and ability to just have other heroes go in first. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, in my opinion, you do not want to lead in a fight as Riki. Sure, if they don't have detection or, you're farmed enough, you can just burst the hero and get out because you have multiple blink strikes, you have tricks of the trade, invis, smokescreen, etc. All your abilities are basically a defensive ability in some nature. But you have heroes to go in here, which is a big deal because when you have these heroes to go in, you can basically pick your targets, guys. Because what happens when someone initiates, right, in Dota? Everyone starts collapsing and showing, correct? Only the best players in the world will really try to hide when they see an initiation because they'll understand that that means that other players are trying to figure out where they are because typically they'll show themselves. Hopefully that made sense. But basically, I like PSG LGD is doing this where they have heroes to go in first for the Riki. It can enable the Riki to get off his damage. And then last thing to note, it's very good with Grimstroke in lane, right? Riki with Blink Strike, plus the Grimstroke E, the Inkswell is very, very strong. That's kind of just a basic simple combo that, is very straightforward, anyone can do it, but is very effective. So do not overthink things all the time, guys. Like, I see a lot of players like overthinking picks sometimes. They might have just picked Riki to a large extent because they like the lane with X-Nova's Grimstroke. All right, in terms of starting items, nothing too insane. Funny enough, he's actually going fairly limited regen. Riki as a hero is actually one of the most sustainable heroes in Dota, funny enough. You have obviously Disengage with Blink Strike, but most importantly, you have 323 movement speed, some of the highest in the game, 65 base damage, which is also some of the highest in the game, 6 armor, which is also some of the highest in the game, and 5.2 base regen, which is also some of the highest in the game. So Riki is actually relatively decent in lane in terms of being tanky, which sounds weird. It's like, Riki, tanky. Right? Like, this hero is so small, how could he be tanky? But no, Riki is actually pretty tanky, just based on stats. It's pretty funny, but that's just how it goes. As you can see here, this is really impressive, but basically he got gone on, he got dropped to 200 HP, and after one tango, he got to 470 HP. Now he's popping another one, obviously, just because, reasons. But I think that's the most impressive part about Riki. So as you can see here, immediately we see the power of the Riki Grimstroke, which is why I was telling you guys, don't overthink these things. Like, I really think sometimes the major downfall a lot of people in the lane is their inability to use their basic combos or their basic synergies, even if it's just a slow into a slow. This one is, a little bit more pronounced because it's obviously a Inkswell and the Blink Strike, but we see it here, right? He Blink Strikes in. You can even, do the Inkswell first, but it's technically better to Blink Strike in first, then Inkswell, and they get a lot of damage on the Kaka. Nothing too insane. It doesn't even end up being too favorable for them, to be honest, but pretty solid, even using the Blink Strike to secure the CS here. Alright, this is a really nice play here. So guys, whenever you're getting chased this Riki, it's really important that you do not walk straight. Now, why is that, right? If he walks backwards, he's just going to get chased, right? And there's nothing to Blink Strike to. So make sure whenever you're playing Riki to actually run to the right and the left. That's very clear here, as we see, because he's getting chased. And, he just makes a really simple Blink Strike play, gets the CS because he's a god gamer, and gets out. So just, it's kind of just nice Dota there, overall. So one of the things to note about Riki is that Blink Strike is a very spammable spell, which I don't think people use enough. He's constantly using it to either just get some chip damage on the Lina in combination with his Grimstroke Harass, or, you know, just get a CS, right? As we can see here, really good synergy with the Grimstroke just to get out some damage. And this combo's super coming into play. That was beautiful, so let's watch that one more time, just because that's such a good play. But they simply just use the synergy of right clicks plus a spell to amplify right clicks, if that makes any sense, guys. I know this might not seem too complex, but it actually is, where you basically use just a slow and right clicks to get extra damage. And then he uses a Blink Strike to dodge the LSA, which is another reason why you actually are very good against the Lina pick here. And then finally the Inkswell to close the gap and pick up the kill. So the synergy is just showing off here with these two heroes. Another one I think they picked in the future, because they actually picked this hero twice, was I believe Lich, which is another fantastic one because you have obviously your Frost Blast and then your W, which just allows Riki to stay on top of his target and destroy them. In terms of items, the first thing we're going to notice is he ships out mangoes and tangos here. It's very important that you actually sustain on Riki, because your hero does need to get in to actually trade, right? You don't have any long-range spells. Long-range spells that allow you to stay from long range. Technically, I guess both of your spells can be casted from long range, but he's buying extra tangos, right? Shipped out an extra 3, and then 2 more mangoes, as well as this Wraith Band. So very important to invest into early game items. Do not rush something like a Fusel Blade. Do not rush a Blade of Alacrity. This is absolutely game losing. And now, once again, we're just going to see the Inkswell combo coming out here. Nothing too insane, but this is pretty solid start for him. Not the best CS, obviously. This lane is very difficult. Axe Lina, you know, for any hero. So I don't blame him. We'll continue to see how well he does. Alright, next up we're going to analyze some really smart decision making from Riki here. And what I want to note is that he's actually running top. He got ganked bottom. He's running top just to farm. Not the best of starts as we look at net worth. He's fairly low actually. But what we will notice is that he's actually TPing bottom here, and your TP won't get scouted out, right? And then instantly what he's essentially looking to do is follow up and not instantly jump, right? So he sees Emo on the Ember Spear here and doesn't instantly jump him, because you can't jump a hero like Ember Spirit as Riki. You're not going to be able to control him down. He has to wait for the bait to be set up, which is exactly what happens. So Emo walks in, gets caught by the bait, all of a sudden, you know, you kind of just burst them out. Also, I really like his tricks of the trade usage there. It's kind of much better damage in the early game. I wish he was on Agi treads, but what you gonna do? Maybe he feels like he really needs the mana. Regardless, it's very important to kite out on Riki. You notice when he blink striked on the axe there, he didn't instantly just keep hitting him because he was afraid of getting hit by things like Splinter Blast, even just an Axe Call or a Lina LSA or even just a Lina Nuke. And that's important to note because Riki has a very small HP pool in the early game, right? You have high armor, but your HP pool is absolute trash. And therefore, you do not want to get hit by AoE spells. And where do the most AoE spells go? Always into the middle of the fight. So it's much better if you kite around to the sides or even just slightly kite back, which he's doing here. Kind of just looking for an opportunity to go back in. Doesn't actually see one right away until the axe gets low. And this is really just beautiful team fighting here, where you're not fully committing, because that's not the goal of Riki. Your hero's not tanky enough to do that. That's why I said you want the initiators of Storm and Centaur so that you do not have to initiate, right? Hopefully that kind of makes sense to you guys, but it's something to really think about in draft and just in game. Also, it's very important that you basically never jungle on this hero. It's just unbelievably slow. You always need to be looking for waves to farm, and the first wave he actually farms into the mid game here is after that bottom fight, he instantly walked mid, which is what I've been trying to push a lot of you guys to do just on any hero. It's particularly good on safe laners because it's a very safe wave to farm, especially if it's pushed back towards your tower. But Riki kind of has to do this, right? Because otherwise, you're not going to farm that fast. You know what I mean? Your hero simply just does not farm jungle that fast. So he's always just looking to either set up plays or take a jungle camp. In fact, he's even jungling with his Centaur, which is absolutely hilarious. But the reality of Riki, you simply just don't jungle that fast. So you even need the help of a hero like your Centaur to make that play. This is very important for Riki, guys. Do not fight all game. Your hero should not fight all game. After you take an engagement that looks good, you need to get to lanes. Lanes. You see this? And then you should be looking to TP in second. In fact, he's even using tricks of the trade to shove in the wave faster, right? This is the main point here. This is my major point about Dota. If you're trying to get better at the game, this is what you have to learn how to do, right? Because, once again, as you can see, you jungle very slow. Is still taking a camp in the downtime because the wave is too far into pushing at that point, right? You don't want to go under the tier 2 and get ganked by a Shrine TP or even just a tier 2 TP. So therefore, he's, now he's taking jungle camps, even using tricks of the trade to farm it, which I like because it gives you the backstab. But as you can see, you're kind of just chilling in areas, waiting for either plays to be set up in the side lanes or just for waves to be farmed, which we'll probably see here again. He's a little bit afraid because they just ganked in the top jungle, so I don't think he'll actually push out this top wave right away. No, he sort of is, actually. He's getting it out. Alright, fight breaking out here. Let's see what he does. Oh, actually, instantly gets cursed. This looks really bad, actually. I can't imagine he's not dead. Alright, he's just straight up dead. As you can see, this game is actually pretty bad for them right now, which is why Riki does have this downside as a hero. It's the major downside of Riki, where if your team falls behind and you can't fight, your hero feels a little bit underwhelming, especially till it gets its defusal, which is why if your team can't fight and you're behind, do not continue to try to fight. It's actually the biggest grief of Riki, where like a lot of Riki players, they're like, oh, you know, I'm invis and I gotta go scout the supports and kill them. No, but then you end up dying and then your whole game is completely thrown off. You have no impact the entire match and it's just GG. It's completely GG. There's nothing you can do. So instead, you know, he farms his defusal, gets a 60-minute defusal with a bunch of stats, and that's not too bad. In fact, like typically what I'll recommend in pubs, what I recommend is trying to get the item around 15 with all these stats. And this is a bit late, but he does have 2 deaths, and his CS is not fantastic because the game is not going well, right? But if the game is going a little bit better, where it's just your average pub where there's a lot more farm on the map, you should be able to get that timing. Regardless, now we're going to see the impact of the diffusable timing. Good disruption from his Shadow Demon. And now he's always going to be trying to kite out. You notice how his Tricks of the Trade was to the left there, guys, instead of just in the middle of them? That's actually super important, right? Like, this is how you have to play Riki if you're trying to maximize a value on this hero. He could have easily just went in the middle of them, but he kind of separated it so he'd get the majority of the damage on the Ember Spirit, and so he would be able to kite out at the end. You notice how he instantly blinks out to the Grimstroke there, right? You have to do this. Also, great kiting back. Almost got hit by that Winter's Curse, which would have ended his team fight. He guaranteed would have died there. But instead, he's able to kite out. I don't think this fight actually goes well for them. But hopefully you guys can kind of see the importance of this movement. Remember, guys, though, always waves, waves, waves. I can't stress this enough. We're going to go back to team fighting in a bit. But, like, if you don't do this, and that's why I have to say it multiple times, because it's, like, the main key component of playing this hero as a carry. If you do not get to the waves and push them out, you will not do well. You will not do well. Right, you might, you know, just kill everyone, and therefore you might go like 20-0 and snowball, right? That could work, and in fact, that's what most people do in pubs. But this is significantly more reliable, and especially if you're, you know, like a little bit higher MMR, you have to do this. Not to say that this doesn't work in low MMR, guys. Don't have that misconception. Anything you learn from a pro match is applicable and should be applied in your pubs, especially things like team fighting movement and spell casting and things like that, even item builds, 100%. So in terms of talents, just to quickly talk about 10 and 15, it's important that you take the 25 attack speed, just so you can amp up your farm a little bit in damage in the early game. And then he goes for the 35 damage. I think the smokescreen talent's okay, but it used to be like an 8-second talent, minus 8 seconds. That was when it was broken. It's not nearly as good now, so the 35 damage is pretty reasonable, considering you're doing a lot of right-clicking. All right, so this is a really bizarre fight because his team is getting picked off, but his Storm is about a buyback, and we're just gonna kind of see how you want to look at the fights. Once again, staying on the outside, looking for an easy target. Finds the Wyvern, didn't have smokescreen up, so couldn't instantly hit him. Then smokescreens now, right, to try to get the kill. Can be a bit hard to track people with Riki sometimes. That should be your goal, regardless of, you know, your inability to track people down if you get a bit under farm, or they simply become tanky, right? Because this Wyvern is quite tanky. He has a Wand, Tranquil Glimmer, same thing for the Lina. She has like 2 stat items, so it's a bit hard for Riki to burst them, but especially in low MMR pubs when people don't buy as much stats and have less items, it's a lot easier for you to actually kill people as Riki. So that's just something to think about. Also, next up, he goes Battle Fury. Both games he's gone Battle Fury that I've watched, which is absolutely bizarre. But I think the idea is that it enables you to continue farming, and I believe it works with Tricks of the Trade. We'll see in a moment. As I said, I'm watching this live, so I don't know for sure, but I think that's the value of the item. It works on pushing out waves with Tricks of the Trade and team fighting, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, so basically it just lets you push out the wave, it seems. We're going to see it again here. Yeah, so if you get a little bit lucky, obviously it depends on where Riki actually hits the hero or the creep, but the Battle Fury does work during Tricks of the Trade and enables you to deal a ton of damage. Also, Imclaw, very good item on Riki. Does trade it out for the Arbor Destruction though, which is also an amazing item on Riki, obviously. It just is slow, 30%, which is fantastic. It's basically a backup defusal and 5 armor reduction. Also super, super good. Regardless, it's kind of weird that he goes this item because the enemy team does have a lot of burst, right? It's like, if they get on top of him, they can easily burst him. So it's a bit odd. But I think the reasoning is like, if you don't go this route and you try to go just like other items like Manta and Butterfly and things like that, it's going to be a lot harder to farm. And therefore you run into this issue where your hero will just naturally fall behind. Like you're basically guaranteed to fall behind to the likes of heroes like, you know, PAs with Battle Fury, or, you know, a Sven or a Naga or a PL. And this allows you to scale, right? You can tell he's doing a lot of farming right now, which is unlike Riki, right? He's like even jungling now. Basically, he didn't jungle up until this point. He took like a small camp here and there, but now that he has his Battle Fury, he is ripping through camps. So kind of an interesting playstyle. Hopefully this is cool to you guys. It's cool to me because I've never seen Riki like this. I've seen Battle Fury Riki before, but as a meme, not like a scaling farming core. And great fight by LGD there. Okay, so it looks like some buybacks coming out, seeming like they're just going to disengage, and yeah, I mean, I hate to be this monotonous, but sometimes people don't realize this is what it takes to become a good carry player. It's like, oh, a fight disengages, then all right, I'm going to go push in the nearby wave. Smoke breaks out though, so it looks like they're going to make a play. Let's see how he plays it. Also, he took the Blink Strike cast range. That is by far the better talent. Blink Strike cast range is so broken because it lets you pick your targets, which, as I've expressed, is very, very important for Riki. All right, so let's look at an upcoming fight. Also, he's going Nullifier, which I think is very important on Riki because it counters out the Glimmer Capes and the Shadow Blade of Lina, which, yes, Lina actually did buy a Shadow Blade. But as you can see, the Blink Strike cast range coming into play here because you might be like, well, whatever, he could have just done that from here anyway, right? But it prevents him from getting hit by Dark Pact, Splinter Blast, Wyvern Curse, Axe Call, just a bunch of things that you don't want to get hit by. Would he have gotten hit by them? Probably not in this situation, but it's actually very important to do this. Doesn't get the Lina kill, but once again, kiting out. Guys, I can't stress this enough. If you don't do this on Riki and you just keep walking in, you will die over and over again. You will feed. In fact, this applies to a lot of these high mobility cores. This is how you want to play. But continue looking at it. He's looking for the Lina here. Does find her. Gonna try to burst her tricks of the trade. Very well played. Instantly Blink strikes out. You can really see the diligence of it, and I just love this so much because he's so diligent about kiting out, which most players, like, they'll do it once a game, but then they'll forget the next 10 times. It's like, guys, you have to basically do this every single fight if you're trying to play Ember or Riki or, you know, what are other examples? Storm. Or, you know, it can vary based on your items, but for the most part, this is how you gotta go. And he's even got an Axe queued up next. I'm curious to see if he actually buys this, but fight breaking out. Once again, let's see his target priority. This is always one of the more important things. He sees the Lina in the back, but the Slark is very separated, so he goes on him. Great Nullifier. I wonder if the Slark had items that he had to use. No items, but still, the Nullifier gives you a proper slow. And then, oh my god, that damage. It's so much damage. Absolutely bursted in there. Why was that good, though? Actually, I want to talk about that, guys, because that was important. A lot of people would see that, and they just dismiss it as like, oh, you know, he just kills Slark, right? Like, haha, Smokescreen's good against Slark. But I think the target priority and the reason why he can do this is even more important. What can we note about this fight? Well, a couple things. Winter's Curse comes out. Call came out, right? Lina on the backside, kind of zoned out by the curse. What isn't zoned out, though? What is separated? Slark is very separated. He's also picking on the supports. So if the Riki doesn't come in here and protect him, Slark is going to kill both of the supports, and the fight will be completely different. Also, Slark gets permanent agi, which is dangerous. So as you can see, all these spells that threaten the Riki, which you have to note when you're playing Riki, it's particularly AoE spells that can break you out of detection, or just nukes in general, they've been used. Now the Axe Call is obviously up again because it's a 10-second cooldown, but as I said, no threat of the stun, no threat of Splinter Blast, no threat of any AoE spell. So I just think this is such fantastic target priority because he could have won for the supports. He easily could have jumped Lina this fight, but his ability to switch there because he identified that all the spells were cast is a major sign of a high MMR player that is extremely hard to reciprocate, but, you know, you should actually think about. All right, they actually do give Riki Aegis instead of Storm, which is kind of bizarre, but it will allow him to play a bit more reckless. Maybe Storm also has some slot issues. Not really, but sort of. Kind of weird. I guess Riki is definitely a very good Aegis hero because you can be a bit more reckless then. Not crazy reckless though, because you can actually die twice, so we'll kind of see how he plays, even with Aegis. Oh, they just called an Ember. Alright. Emo's feeding. Okay, so fight breaks out really deep in the base. Let's kind of see what he's waiting for, what he's looking for. Oh, instantly onto the Lina. Probably going to go for the Nullifier. Yep. Shadow Blade canceled out. Follow-up tricks of the trade. Now he's going to kite out. That's the benefit of the Aegis, because the Axe can jump him, right? If Axe jumps him, Axe dies as well, so the Aegis allows him to play like that. Regardless, good jump, great Nullifier. I mean, that's the benefit of having Nullifier and Riki. It basically enables you to kill someone that you originally couldn't, because good players will buy Force Staff against Riki. They'll buy Glimmer, they'll buy Shadow Blade, they'll buy Yules. They're going to have all of these items that completely counter you out in your jump, right? The goal of Riki in these mid and late game scenarios is to completely burst people. If you're not trying to burst anyone and you're just like chip damaging a bunch of people, you're being useless. Even if you end the game with 40k damage, if you're not killing people off the start in fights, you're not itemizing correctly, or you're not jumping the correct targets. I totally forgot this is... What does this axe even do now? Oh, it just makes you hit more, increases duration, attacks, cast range, and allows you to target an allied hero. So it lasts for 3 seconds when you have the Scepter, your Tricks of the Trade, which is cool because it's on a 5-second cooldown? Is that a talent? Wow, okay, that's a talent. I didn't even realize. At level 25, you get a -7 Tricks of the Trade cooldown. I don't even know how I didn't realize that. That is crazy broken, actually. This is super, super good. Another reason why you'd want the Battle Fury to get to this timing. You buy an Axe, which gives you more attacks, so you hit 6 times in 3 seconds, which is a lot in the late game when you can originally get kited, especially with Battle Fury. And it's on a 5-second cooldown, so you're basically like 60% of the time in Tricks of the Trade, which obviously is going to make you hard to kill, considering you have 3 other defensive options too. Let's see how he kind of plays it out. Always nuking out waves consistently. Jumps to Lina. Good Nullifier into the Slark, but he did get Dark Pact off, so it didn't work out. Could have went for the Lina, maybe. Sees the Ember here. Wow, Ember's just dead. Yeah, and this is the benefit of Aegis, because if he doesn't have Aegis, you can't jump Ember here, guys. I'm trying to make this clear. Against better players, there's no way you jump an Ember who's just alone outside of base with absolutely no one on the enemy team showing. But, you know, he does have Aegis, so, you know. Gets disrupted. Oh no, that wasn't him. But he's going to continue to go for the backline. Wow, this Battle Fury is actually doing quite a bit of damage to the backline here. The Nullifier and Alina is getting kited a bit, but once again, kiting out. Really smart. Hopefully you guys can kind of see this, how important it is to play like this. It's like, you go for the kill. If you don't get it, even if they're low, you get out. Alright, this seems a bit suicidal. I don't know about this reinitiation. Gonna try to Tricks of the Trade. Gets disrupted. Okay, maybe they're actually gonna be able to save him. No, he seems pretty dead to me. Oof, okay. Insta buyback. Holy, that's a confidence buyback right there. Wow. My man's just insta buyback. Is he even gonna get anything out of it? The heck? Oh, he's got an illusionary cave. What does this do? 14 agi, 14 strength. Wow, that is really good. Also increases outgoing damage of all units and illusions controlled by the hero by 10%. That's not so good. But you do also get to make an illusion, which is easily going to be used to bait people out, for sure. For sure, 100%. People want to jump Riki, right? It's one of those heroes where if you can jump him, you want to jump him because he's squishy, right? So you make illusions and then you get baited. Like, you can see he's trying to actually bait. That is so clever. You see what he's doing there, guys? So basically what he does is he sends the Riki illusion onto the Slark, and then he smoke screens and nullifiers with this main hero to try to get them to, like, curse it or something, or even just commit, like, a call, right? Nullifier, kites out. So then his teammates might go on that illusion. Not sure. Guess we'll have to see. Oh, the Slark actually tried to pounce him. That's pretty funny. This fight's going trash. This is going to be the last fight I'm probably going to look at, besides obviously the ending fight of the game. And so, takes the Orb of Destruction, actually backpacks the Ags, which is odd, but it does allow him to have this orb, which, you know, is actually quite a damage amp. So, what we're going to see here is he's seemingly going to go on the Lina. No Nullifier needed, which is important. Gonna kite out. Sees the Wyvern here, probably going to jump him. Yep. Nullifier. That's a kill. So much damage. Beautiful team fighting, though, because he kills the Lina, kills the Wyvern. You know, can't really go on the Slark here, because if he goes on Slark, or anyone else, they're going to get Wyvern healed, they're going to get Force Staff glimmered, so you then pick on them, right? The only reason you went on the Slark in that other fight is because those options weren't there, but when the options are there, then you want to take out, you know, the options, which is the Wyvern. Now this looks like it's going to be about it. Yeah, they called GG. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'm really fascinated by this Riki hero right now. I think it's very good for pubs. I think it can be very dominant if you implement these playing styles. The idea of pushing in waves a lot, buy the stats, right? Don't be greedy. Buy the treads, buy the 2 Wraith Bands. You can even buy 1 if you think it's good for the game. I think it makes sense on the hero because you can have mana issues, but right, buy the extra tangos in lane, buy mangoes, push in waves, kite in and out in fights, and you're going to have a lot of success on Riki because you don't need to necessarily farm that much. At least pre this like Battle Fury build, you'll do pretty well. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please do like and subscribe to help the channel grow. Obviously, it helps me out. And yeah, see you in the next video. Peace. Are you tired of being hard stuck at your rank? Over at gameleap.com, we have a library of hundreds of guides authored by pro players and coaches covering literally every aspect of Dota. Whether you're looking to master a new hero or role, or just polish up your existing skills, GameLeap is the proven place for competitive gamers to hone their craft and unlock their secret potential. Hit the link on screen right now, to take advantage of our special offer for a 25% discount, guys, 25%, and start your journey today.